How's it going, everybody? It's Carlos, one of your hosts of the Bring on the Blitz podcast, and I'm joined here today by my co-host Rios. How's it going, Rios?
Hey man, we are 4 days away from football. What a time to be alive.
There you go, and we got the one and only Papi. How's it going, Papi?
Aquí, marico, tú sabes cómo es la vaina. Todo tranquilo, todo tranquilo.
Turn
That's
on the
right.
SC.
That's right. Hey, man. Tonight's show, we got a good one for y'all. We're talking about a few standouts that we saw during preseason that I think all of us kind of saw making the Texans, and also some surprises, maybe some guys that we were surprised at not to make the roster. But also we're going to be talking about the Colts versus Texans week 1 preview. All that and more coming up after the intro. Hit it. All right, so we're going to get started with a few players that kind of made a name for themselves for the Texans during this preseason. And with that being said, I want to talk to you guys about Cam Akers. So Cam Akers was got signed by the Texans during preseason or a little bit before. So that kind of told the people, hey, maybe Dameon Pierce isn't doing as well as everybody expected. However, Dameon Pierce did make the cut. He's in the roster. Now, based on the performance of Cam Akers during preseason, where he actually he performed quite well. I mean, it's a familiar system for him, coming from the Rams, coming from the Minnesota Vikings, and all that. The Shanahan offense, he's pretty familiar with it. So, with that being said, we have seen Dameon Pierce struggle with this offense last year. That's why Devin Singletary kind of took off as a primary back for the Texans last year and not Dameon Pierce. During the offseason, DeMeco Ryans had mentioned that, Dameon Pierce is doing well. I think even Bobby Slowick said the same thing. And even Nick Caserio mentioned that, Dameon Pierce was on the right track. And then you get Cam Akers. And so that kind of throws in the speculation of, okay, if Dameon Pierce is doing so well, why sign Cam Akers? Again, the familiarity in the system. Now, Cam Akers had some phenomenal plays during preseason. Overall, I would say he turned some heads around and made his name and his presence felt. I think it was against the New York Giants game. He had 29 yards on 6 attempts, and he was averaging about 4.8 yards per carry on that game, and his longest was a 14. And then against the Rams during the preseason game, Cam Akers had 7 attempts for 53 yards, averaging 7.6 against the Rams, and his longest was of 23. So he had some pretty decent yardage on him. So I want to get your opinion on what you saw on Cam Akers, and I'm going to start off with Rios first. Rios, what did you see with Cam Akers during the preseason, and even I think on training camp as well?
Yeah, so his first day with the Texans in training camp was the one we went to. He didn't even have his name on the back of his jersey. He had number 22, which another player had. Like a lot of people were like, he's just a Cam body. Like there wasn't a whole lot of expectations, towards Cam Akers. But from the first game, like he looked explosive. He was able to create break contact. He looked like he solidified himself being the number 2 running back on the roster. He, out of all the running backs, he had the strongest preseason. He looked ready. Like he looked like the Cam Akers from 2 years ago, 3 years ago when the Rams went to the Super Bowl. Like he looked that explosive. He's looking to resurrect his career basically, because once he went to Minnesota, like the Achilles injury kind of derailed him, and he looks ready to try to revive his career. And he's only like 7 months older than Dameon Pierce. They're the same age.
Yeah, man, it's a difficult thing, with him because he's obviously looked pretty good. We've seen him the most out of all the running backs. We haven't really seen Joe Mixon, how he's gonna gel with this offense and everything. I'm sure he'll be okay, but
Yeah.
Cam Akers is making a strong case to maybe even take that RB1 spot because he was making plays during preseason, right? And I know it's all preseason, it's just that, but with how and it sucks to say, but how bad uh, Pierce was performing and the chances that he was given, like it just made Cam Akers look even better. Like every time Cam Akers was getting the touches, we were actually like getting yards out of it and making plays. The whole thing with Pierce is a bit of a shame, and it kind of makes you wonder, right? With all the cuts that happened, we lost some players that I didn't think were gonna get cut. And Pierce was one of the standout names that I was like, wow, he actually made the roster. And I wonder if
Well,
it's gonna be more of a trade piece or what.
well, I think he made the roster mainly because Gerard Jordan, he got injured. He's on injured reserve for the season. Like he's done for the year. I think that's one of the reasons he made the roster.
For the year?
Yeah, he's out for the year. Like I think they gave him an injury compensation or something like that. But he's done for the year. I think that's one of the reasons he made the roster because just based off the play, like he didn't do enough in preseason to warrant a roster spot. But
Not really, and that was the biggest thing. Like he made this roster. If it's because of as an injury replacement, he's lucky to still be a Texan right now, which is so crazy to say with how good his rookie year was. And we go on and on about how good his rookie year was, but he was the only good thing about the offense on on Will Levis's last year.
And it's crazy. So let's just say hypothetically, like, Gerard Jordan doesn't get injured. Brings up an interesting, conversation. Like, who do you keep? Gerard Jordan or Dameon Pierce?
If you didn't have a Cam Akers, right? If it was Joe Mixon and Jordan, then you go ahead and, keep Pierce just for depth. But given how good Cam Akers has been and Joe Mixon, we assume he's going to be good. We assume he's going to be good enough to be RB1.
Yeah.
If you still have Gerard Jordan, then like, what do you do with Pierce? I noticed we like some standout players that got cut. Andrew Beck. We all remember that touchdown he got last year.
Well, that's surprising because I think basically as from a fullback perspective, he wasn't that great of a fullback. I think British Brooks, excuse me. I was really excited about him. Like his plays really stood out to me behind Cam Akers. Like he was like another one that stood out to me a lot. And I was like, I really hope this kid makes the roster. And he did. And I think they're going to play him fullback. There was this clip against the Rams where he just leveled the linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
We have never seen Beck do. Like I think it won't just benefit Joe Mixon. It'll probably benefit Pierce as well, or whoever is the backup running back when he's out there as a fullback. This dude can block.
Yeah, British Brooks is he was very impressive during that Giants game and during the Rams game. He obviously he also turned some heads around, and I believe that's the reason why the Texans decided to keep him. Aside from that, Beck, I mean, the difference between Brooks and Beck, from what I saw, is that definitely Brooks has that tenacity. You know what I mean? He will go after it without just about any repercussion. I wanted to show you guys a little clip really quick. I talked to British Brooks after the how do you call it? The Giants game. And just so you guys can hear a little bit, now you're going to hear a little bit of music in the background because there was music playing in the locker room. But I want to show y'all that and see what y'all think. And I asked him about the touchdowns and how he felt about it. Give me 1 second, and I will share that screen.
He reminds me a lot of old school fullback Lorenzo Neal. Like same type of playing style, just would body guys out there.
Okay. All right, y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Hi. So you had a couple.
Sorry, my dogs are back.
Today. How did that make you feel? Like making an impression during preseason?
It felt good knowing that my coaches and my teammates trust me to, have the ball in my hands, and I knew that my teammates would, blocked their butts off trying to get me in there. We all work so hard to have moments like this. So I appreciate my teammates for, blocking and do what they're supposed to do and straining for me.
So I did enjoy how he was basically giving that rearrangement. Hold on.
You gotta fix it.
You got it, or yeah, there you go. Yep, nope,
no,
that's not it.
No, that's not it.
There you go. Hey, we're back. All right.
Yeah, when you said you were gonna share a screen, I'm like, oh,
yeah, I didn't think it was gonna. I forgot I was gonna.
Like, I knew it was gonna be weird. I was like, oh, let me.
Wait, put the names. Put the names. Put the names.
Yeah, I got
there
it,
you go. Hey.
There you go.
Yeah. I like how he wasn't really selfish about it. He was very because of my team, I did this.
Yeah.
And that contributes. So that obviously speaks it speaks high volumes of this guy. I like him, and I think his teammates are unlike him, and obviously making statements like that will definitely help him, with the team chemistry. But other than that, I like him just because he over Beck. Again, he goes after guys. And I think he's going to be an essential part. I think there was a moment when they were like, they put him with like the tight ends at one point. Did y'all see that? I don't know if it's because of the blocking part or what, but they put him to play with the tight ends at one point.
Yeah, he's a great blocker. Like, I think he will definitely be an upgrade, as far as, creating holes for the running lanes. Because, like, as we witnessed most of the preseason, like, the run blocking wasn't the best. So any type of help will be a welcome addition, because Beck was not, the greatest of blockers. Dalton Schultz not the best of blockers. Brandon Jordan is not the best of blockers. I think Stover is probably the best blocking tight end we have, which is not saying much, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to what we were saying, you're talking about this kid, being able to, create holes for the running backs to find. But we already seen it with Pierce. Like, he just can't find it. Like, he could have daylight, he can see the whole field. He's still gonna go for contact. So it begs the question: injuries or not, what do you do with Pierce? We know he's not gonna get the touches, right? Cam Akers has proven himself that he's good enough to be RB1 in a lot of teams, and we know Joe Mixon is gonna be good. So what do you do with Pierce at this point if you're the Texans?
I think it's going to be very complimentary with Joe Mixon and Cam Akers. They're going to be switching off here and there. Again, because they're very familiar with this type of system. I think with Dameon Pierce, you're going to definitely use him as a third down back, maybe to gain extra yardage. But the problem is, as you mentioned, the vision isn't really quite there, or the patience isn't there for, like, there are some you can blame sometimes on the blocking, but there's a lot of times when we've seen Dameon Pierce go straight for contact. And what could have been like a 5-6 yard run turns into a 1 yard run because of the decision making.
Yeah,
so
he tries to make something out of nothing and ends up with nothing most of the time.
But I think the decision that he makes isn't the right one. Like, he's trying, but he doesn't make the right decision, and again it negates some of the yardage that he could have gotten ahead, and that's the problem. There's the lack of vision and the lack of patience.
The thing is, like, now he's gonna get even less touches. So, like, how is he gonna get better? Right?
Yeah, the thing with the zone running system is it requires patience and vision, which he has not really shown too much of so far. Like, he just, I don't know. Like, I guess he just tries to run people over. Like, instead of being patient, waiting for the holes to open up. Might not be open for very long, but it's open. Like, you have.
Do you think it's something that Texas might look into? Maybe a team that's looking for a RB2 type of deal.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, I would say at this point he's there for emergency purposes. In case one of the running backs gets injured or a team needs a running back and trade bait.
I mean, you got British Brooks too there that can help you with that. That can help facilitate some of those runs.
I would trust British Brooks as far as like short yardage situation over Dameon Pierce. He's shown that he has the vision and the patience to wait for the holes to open up, and he has the power to knock people over too.
Yeah, I agree. In this particular, let's make the comparison. A little bit earlier during the offseason, we talked about how DeMeco wanted that 1-2 punch, and I brought up the similarities of the whole Ben Tate, Arian Foster thing that they had a few years ago. British Brooks kind of reminds me of that. because, like Rios just said, he pointed out, British Brooks does have patience, and as you saw during preseason, you saw him excel and get extra yardage when there was times when he probably wasn't supposed to get extra yardage, and he got it because of his patience, because of the vision. Unfortunately, that's something that Damian Pierce is kind of lacking right now, and actually has been lacking since last season too. I at this moment, it's like I think they're keeping there's a possibility they could be keeping him around because they like the guy, and you never know, there might be a possibility where he might end up being a trading piece for the Texans. I don't expect, and we've talked about this before, I don't expect him to be like a high pick round or anything. Maybe something in the later rounds. I think Rios, you had brought up a while back that Dallas could be a potential trading place, maybe. Is that correct? Or perhaps I think Detroit, but I don't know if we have changed ever since that. It's been a minute since we did
with Dallas, yeah, I don't see it anymore because they signed Dalvin Cook, and
they did sign Devin Cook. That's right, yeah.
And he's kind of, I wouldn't say he's similar to the Pierce, but I think he's definitely a better running back to Pierce, a higher ceiling, even given his mileage on the tires, basically.
Right.
He's still never good over Pierce, so I don't see Dallas unless they have a the injury bug where a bunch of running backs go down, then maybe. But I mean, there's not a lot of teams now that would he would be a good fit for, because there's not a whole lot of teams that do the the gap run scheme. This
requires power back type of stuff.
It requires a certain type of offensive line. Like a lot of guys are it's a monkey see monkey do kind of league. Like everyone's just seeing how the Shanahan offense works and the success they have with it, so people try to mimic that as well. And that's zone blocking, basically. Just being patient, finding the holes, and it requires different type of linemen, different type of offensive schemes. There's not a whole lot of teams he would be a good fit on right now.
In conclusion, we know he kind of got lucky making it to the 53 roster. I was definitely surprised after the preseason that he showed, especially with other players, notable players that were decent last year. Like Noah Brown was another one that got cut. And I understand that the Texans right now have like a really deep wide receiver core. Xavier Hutchinson made the 53-man roster, which I'm very happy about.
He's balled
out. Xavier has earned it. Like
he's one of those guys that took preseason as seriously as he possibly could, because he understands this. We got Dell, Nico, Diggs, and then everybody else, right? Obviously, Mechie made it as well.
Everybody else. You got to do
Mechie's another guy that has a really high ceiling if everything works out for him. So it's a shame to see Noah Brown walk, but it's just the way the pieces have to fall.
I mean, with him, it wasn't like a production. It's just he can't stay healthy. Like he's gotten hurt every year of his career. And with the type of depth that they have a receiver, like there
was no need, right?
Yeah.
But what about the secondary though?
Hold on. Let's hold on for a second on the Hutchinson thing. So with Hutchinson, in the entire throughout the 2024 preseason, he had 12 receptions, 114 yards. He didn't have any touchdowns, but he was averaging about 9.5
he was making
yards.
Plays out there. He was making plays.
He was making plays. I wanted to show also when I talked to Xavier Hutchinson, and so I asked him, we saw more of you this season. We heard your name get called a lot more this season, and what was the difference? And he gave me an answer, which was I like the answer he gave me. Give me 1 second. I'll share it. Sorry, I know it's gonna get us out of focus again.
I got you. I'm on it. You let me know.
Sure. Appreciate it. All right, and share. Boom. Okay. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Hey guys, Carlos here from our Esquina. I'm here with Xavier Hutchinson. Xavier, we've heard a lot more from you this preseason as opposed to last. Your name has been coming out more, a lot of great things coming out to you. What has been the difference in a year so that we can hear just more about you now?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I would just say the work that I put in the off season. And that comes with the coaches. They challenged me on certain things to get better at. I took it to the heart. I went to our strength staff, early March, February. Hey, the coaches said I need to get better at this. They helped me. And then in the summer, I went to Just Now, and hey, my receiver coach said, I got to get better at this and this. He was like, all right. And he laid down, the foundation for me. So I give a lot of credit to those two people who really shaped me into, what I'm becoming now. This second year, just a lot more confident player. Really believes that, he deserves to be on the field and that he can make an impact to the team. Honestly, I feel like that's just been my mental has just been completely different this go around.
Awesome answer.
By the way, I wanna fast forward to something. So he gave us a really, really good answer. But before I end this, I kind of want to show everybody the same thing I showed you guys a while ago. So just keep listening.
And last question for you. So, since you live in Houston's very diverse city, what is your favorite Latin cuisine when you're going out?
Honestly, it's gonna sound plain, but it's really just tacos. To be honest, if you could give me, no. You gotta give me a ground beef taco. I need the sour cream, the cheese, the pico.
Yeah. So.
Okay,
I'm about to go back. Yeah.
You need to go out more. Hutchinson, you need to go out more.
Please extend the palate up. Please, I'm begging.
No, I thought that was fun.
Just a little bit. Hey, hit us up, brother.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
That reminds me of so on Instagram, LeBron used to do Taco Tuesdays, but there would be Taco Bell tacos, the crunchy roll. I'm like, bro, what are you doing, man? Those aren't tacos. You live in LA. Come on, you have access to real.
He has no excuse.
Yeah. All right. So
neither you, Xavier. That's
no excuse either. So
I'm not even Mexican, and I'm like, brother.
So going back to his original answer, though, he obviously seeked out more training this season, this year during the off season. He asked for help on certain areas, so he basically went back and reevaluated himself from last season's performance and saw areas where he could improve or whatnot. So I think that it definitely showed now, because honestly, I thought he could have been. He was on the verge, like most people, that he was on the verge of being cut. To keep him instead of Noah Brown, it just goes to show you that the team has faith in him. So, honestly, I think he made an impression on the team by putting in the extra work.
Honestly, what I think about is imagine if this Texans rebuild was taking a little bit longer, right? And let's say that on DeMeco's and CJ's year 2, the Texans are going in without Diggs, right?
Yeah.
Let's imagine for a second it's Nico, Dell, and that third wide receiver. Hutchinson will be, one of those names thrown around. Maybe he could be that wide receiver 3. And if he has a good of a season as he's had a preseason, with somebody like CJ throwing him the ball every time, well, throughout the season, not every time, but then in a year, 2 years from now, we're talking about him getting the same kind of contract that Nico Collins got.
Ooh, I wouldn't go that far.
Dude, yeah. Hutchinson has a really high ceiling, man. The more I saw in this preseason is it's a shame. It's a good problem to have for the Texans.
Oh,
to have so many good wide receivers.
Right.
But it's a shame that he's not a starter. Because honestly, he doesn't walk into every single team in the league. Obviously, he's still too green for that. But if it was if the Texans were still full rebuild year, they're still not signing any stars, there's still not a lot of weapons out there, he would be somebody who would benefit from just be that wide receiver 3 or 4 type of thing, get a few touches, score.
You're saying that he's overshadowed? Do you think you're saying that
it's
he's
a little bit overshadowed just because the situation he's in? But I feel like his ceiling is very high. I'm not talking pro bowler and stuff, but there's a lot of growth there, and he's talking about it. He's showing it. He's talking about working his butt off in the off season, going to his coaches, drills, training, and everything. And then he goes into preseason
to improve, and he did
exactly. And then he goes into preseason, takes it as seriously as anybody else out there, because he wants to make the 53-man roster, and he wants eventually get a starting spot, right? So
yeah,
we honestly, with the Diggs situation right now is like a 1-year thing. We don't know what the team's going to look like in a year or 2.
It's kind of like a safety net keeping him around.
Definitely,
it's like a safe bet keeping him around.
And I'm happy.
It's a long season. Injuries happen.
Exactly.
Right.
Like that's why they kept him around as well, because like it's a long year.
Yeah.
Because I read a story earlier today from a beat writer out of New Orleans saying, he could be a possible trade target for the Saints because they,
Sure.
kind of lacking a receiver. But
Mhm.
he said his counterpoint was, from the Houston standpoint, like why would they do that? Like it's a long year. You can need as much depth as you can, especially if you're making a deep
Mhm.
postseason run. You're going to need all the
Correct.
pieces to get. Like,
Yeah, and then more weapons for CJ Stroud as well. I mean, you could use him in different situations, disguise the scheme a little bit. If you know that they're going for, again, it's going to be difficult for defenders to cover all three of the main top receivers. I mean, and somehow if they got that unlocked for some reason, you can always use Xavier Hutchinson as another piece, or maybe some some checkdowns, maybe a quick throw, maybe some extra yardage. There's so many things, so many ways you can disguise Xavier Hutchinson in this situation. Maybe relieve one of the guys or something like that. Anything like that's a trustworthy wide receiver that you can have on the field for maybe a couple downs or whatnot.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. I'm happy he made the team.
I am too.
I'm happy Mechie made the team as well.
Oh yeah, Mechie was great overall as well. Honestly, I by the way, and this is on a personal note, I think Xavier Hutchinson is such a great person overall. He seems very humble, very very kind person. So
yeah, when I got to speak to him during training camp, like he was probably like he was as happy to talk to the fans as the fans were happy. To talk to.
You could tell that he's there and he's enjoying it. He's in there for he's enjoying the ride, as you can say.
I told him the Texans got to go the whole way this season. He's like, we got to. Like,
I mean, he believes in it, and you should. You can't be like Rios. You can't be right. Like I've been a salesman too, and you are like if you don't believe in the product, you're not going to be able to sell it. So
exactly, like, and I think all these guys they bought into to DeMeco's dream and his plan, all that. Like, they're all in, and when you buy in like that, like it's sky's the limit.
The parade is going to be crazy.
Oh, I can't wait.
Knock on wood.
All right. So let's move on to anything else you guys want to add regarding some of the stand-up performances during training camp?
No, what I wanted to touch on is just real quick on, because I know we're going to talk about it in a little bit, the depth in the secondary. I saw that Desmond King got cut. What are you guys' thoughts on it? Because we know we need, like, the Texans need help in that area.
I think that fumble recovery did it for him.
Yeah, that was it.
I think that fumble recovery, because they were, I mean, obviously they were putting him at safety, right?
Yeah.
But then they were also utilizing him in special teams. But I think once he got that fumble recovery, I'm not sure, but I think that kind of
I feel like in the eyes of the fans and the media, that's kind of what happened. But I guess you would have to trust the rest of the secondary, because I don't see them making any other moves.
Yeah. Rios, what do you think on that one? Sorry about that.
So far from like the clips from training camp and the preseason, like they like Jalen Petrie in the slot. They like him close to the line, and I think they feel comfortable putting him there. That's what he did at Baylor. Like that's where he excels at, like being close to the line of scrimmage. And they're like, we don't need Desmond King at this point. We can have Petrie in the slot. That's something.
Petrie was one of the standout players in preseason as well.
He was, and it goes to say
they felt comfortable with there. Like, hey, you know what? We have other needs, so Petrie fills this role for us, so we can it's okay to cut Desmond King at this point.
Yeah, John McClain, when he was on last time on our show, mentioned the whole the situation with the star position that, again, Jalen Petrie was at Baylor. I wrote an article about that as well, about Jalen Petrie in that position. And so I think moving forward, they're going to start doing that. And obviously, as you guys saw, he got that pick six from Daniel Jones. Of course, he did have some help, but obviously it's
a
little bit, yeah. But it's still, he was right place at the right time, and he got the pick six, and that ended up helping out the Texans get an early lead on the Giants. So 100% on Jalen Petrie, like solidifying his role and making an impact. And so like Rio said, Desmond King at that point, if you're playing Petrie there and you see that he's feeling comfortable, there is really no need for Desmond King at that point.
Not even for depth. Not even for depth.
I mean. Maybe for depth, but I mean,
You don't carry so many defensive backs.
Yeah, and then you got Kalen Bullock also that they're really relying.
Yeah.
That Kalen Bullock
He
is
got
a
number
rookie.
21, right?
Yeah.
Right, he just changed to 21, and then you also have. I think they're really banking on Jimmy Ward, but if you bank on Jimmy Ward's very prone to injuries as well, though. So that's the only thing. But
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like
that's
I
the thing,
figure,
yeah.
like you know, with we know also Stingley, he's been dealing with injuries ever since he got to the league. It's not that it's their fault or whatever. It happens, but I feel like just like it's a good problem to have so many wide receivers, especially good ones. I think having as many players to be able to play those positions in the secondary wouldn't have been a bad idea either, especially like a vet like Desmond King, who isn't like elite by any means, but it's a serviceable body that you can throw in there if one of your guys has to come out.
Well, I think with the scheme they're probably going to use defensive wise is going to be a 4-2-5, where they have four defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and then 5 defensive backs. And there's only so many roster spots, and it just if you have a guy that's better at the position that he plays already, like there was no real need to keep Desmond King, even for.
I don't know, maybe you drop Damian Pierce and I don't know. I just work here. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the Colts week 1 preview, Colts versus Texans preview. There's it's obviously creating excitement because that is it's obviously the first week.
Football season is around the corner, boy.
Right? And then not only that, it's a division rival. Like you're getting immediately the division rival. So really quick, I want to touch on some notes really quick. DeMeco Ryans said to the press today, actually. So he was out, and they asked one of the questions that he was asked on if they have to study the college film of Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson because he played minimal games last season. So the way he answered, start quote, it'll be really great matchup for us to start off the year. Anthony Richardson, as he showed with the limited amount of snaps that he had, he's shown that he could be a dynamic playmaker and running the ball, also throwing the football. So he's a playmaker. You have to account for him every single snap. It's because of his dynamic ability to run the football. So he poses a really good challenge for us defensively, and we definitely have to have our hands full, end quote, by DeMeco Ryans. What do you guys make of that? I'm going to start off with you, Papi.
Well, I mean, definitely with the limited amount of snaps he had last year, we could already tell that he's like kind of a dual threat quarterback. Obviously, he likes to run the ball a lot more. That's something that we knew going in. Like when he got drafted to the Colts, we knew that was going to be a big part of his game. But, you can't sleep on his throwing ability either. Like, it's not like he's like completely washed in that area. And, being as green as he is, going to like an organization like the Colts, who have had good history with quarterbacks in the past, right? So it was a good spot for him to be. It was just a shame that a bit unlucky that he got injured. But I feel like DeMeco is completely right. They need to look at both facets of the game. Obviously, the secondary is going to be. There's a lot of question marks still there, at least from our perspective. But the run is something that even in preseason, the Texans were struggling to stop. So if you're going against a quarterback who can kind of do both, maybe not be elite at either one just yet, but if he can do both just well enough, he can definitely pose a threat. Now, I feel like this game 1 is, like you said, it's a divisional rival. It's the perfect time to make a statement on the division. And if the Texans want to have the best start that they can, they need to like shut the Colts down as much as they can. We know the offense is going to be there, but the defense has to be present, and got to make sure that they keep the Colts at as minimum as a threat as possible.
Rios, what do you think?
I think AR's running ability worries me a little bit more than his throwing ability. In college, he was a 56% completion percentage. Like he's not the most accurate, and the numbers have shown from college to NFL, like your completion percentage doesn't go up a whole lot. And I don't see me being a very, very accurate passer at the NFL level. But that dual threat ability is what really worries me, because as we saw, last season, he scored 2 running touchdowns on us. Like and it was easy. Like it didn't take much effort, and that's the one thing that worries me about him. But as far as throwing ability, I'm not super concerned with that. They still gotta account for his arm because he has a rocket arm, but it's just not the most accurate quarterback.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. To me, I'm not concerned about his throwing ability, more so his running ability.
Watch him throw
The-
three touchdowns.
So the thing about Anthony Richardson, he's what I think he still has to learn, and maybe he's reevaluated himself during the offseason. His decision making skills. He's a run. It feels like he's a run first, throw later quarterback, and
Like a run first, second, and third, bro.
yeah, you're not. The league is not set up for that. You're not. That's why he got in. He only played what 4 games last season,
Three and a half, right?
Yeah, 4 games, and then he was struggling to finish those games. Like he was getting hurt, and that's the thing. You can't run in this league, and you can't run every time. Excuse me, in this league, but his running ability, I think that's what is I think the most threatening out of Richardson, more so than his throwing ability. It's just, to me, the Texans have an advantage over Richardson. I know DeMeco said that it is something that to look out for. I think, to me, in my own opinion, I think that Richardson, if he's not able to make those great decisions, and I think that's the advantage that the Texans have coming into week 1 against the Colts. It's how much you have to worry about, how much growth he's made through the off season, and if he hasn't, then take advantage of that, because the Texans have a great defensive line that can get to Richardson. However, the thing is, with his running ability, once he finds a hole, I mean, it's good luck, and that's him extending the plays. But I mean, overall, I think the running ability is what's more threatening about him than really his arm, and obviously, his decision making skills are not the best when it comes to Anthony Richardson.
I think that the Colts know that, and they knew that when they drafted him. So I feel like, behind the scenes, they've probably been working on that part of his game a lot. So I honestly believe, because the talent is there, the athleticism is there, the decision making is questionable, but he was a rookie last year. So I do want to believe in somebody like AR, and I'm not saying that his completion percentage is going to be like 80%, even 75%. But I feel like this year he's going to make a lot of progress, something that a lot of teams won't be ready for.
I think the thing that worries me about him is as far as athletes go, he's probably the best athletic quarterback in the NFL, like by far. And he knows that, but he relies on the athleticism a little too much.
Yeah. That's the biggest downfall, right?
Instead of, trying to win from the pocket, like the guys that last in this league at the quarterback position aren't the guys that are, trying to run it every chance to get. That was Cam Newton's downfall. He didn't really work on his, the mental side of the game, the passing ability. Like he would try to just run people over, and it gets you only so far. And I think with him,
got Cam Newton to the Super Bowl.
Like, they're big dudes that can run people over, and they know it, and they rely on that instead of trying to win from the pocket.
I mean, it got Cam Newton to the Super Bowl though, so that's probably something that the Colts they would probably jump on the prospect of that in a second if they could. But Carolina was just a different team back then.
They didn't win, and he kind of fell off pretty quickly after that Super Bowl run.
A lot of it was also that the Panthers didn't want to pay a bunch of their key players, and once it was Cam and the skeleton crew, there was no winning. Yeah, it was a wrap at that point. But I feel like I believe in AR to improve, not necessarily by a mile that he was last year.
I would hope he would watch. He watched film of Lamar Jackson running, because if you see Lamar run, he runs a lot, but he runs smart. He doesn't try to run people over. He's looking to either slide, go out of bounds, pick up enough yards, and then
No, honestly, once you get the first down, just go down.
The sliding part.
Don't try to play hero ball.
People call Jackson a running back, but if you see the way he runs very smart. Like he doesn't take a lot of big hits. Like all his injuries, soft tissue.
Besides AR, what do you think is going to be the biggest area of concern going against the Colts?
As far as the Colts, I would say their linebackers they have an elite linebacking core.
That defense is
so
scary.
Yeah, the thing with the linebacking core, I mean, you got those guys going against Joe Mixon. Now Joe Mixon, in his own respect, you got speed and I believe it's Franklin, right, going against Joe Mixon. And I mean, Joe Mixon, to his own right, he had 257 carries last year, 1,034 yards, 9 touchdowns, and he was averaging about 4 yards per carry last season. So pretty impressive numbers for a running back that's been in the league. But yeah, like Real said, those linebackers that the Colts have are pretty top notch. So I think a run game might suffer. The run game for the Texans might suffer a little bit. But overall, I think you can kind of make it up with the. I think everybody's gonna see CJ Stroud throw a little more on that game because the one thing that the CJ can take advantage of is that secondary.
Yeah, their secondary is not the strongest aspect of their defense. That's one area you can exploit. So I think they're probably going to throw it at least 30 times against the Colts.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. Because that run game, again, those linebackers are strong, so you probably won't see much. I mean, you'll see Mixon. You'll see, maybe the tight ends not as much either.
Yeah, I don't think Schultz is going to get a lot of touches.
Yeah, but
I think they're going to use the pass instead of the run. Like
it's going to be a passing game. It's definitely going to be a passing game.
They're gonna be hugging the sidelines.
And if you use Mixon, like I think, like Real said, you'll see him in the passing as well.
Yeah, I would see probably Mixon getting more yards through the air than running on that game.
Yeah. So but overall, CJ Stroud on the other hand, though, last season 23 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, threw for 4,108 yards, was averaging about 8.2 yards. Longest was of like 75, had 38 sacks in the season, but his QBR was 57.5, and honestly, his completion rating was 63.9%. And he only played 15 games.
The O-line should be a lot better this year. So I want to say the sacks are going to go down, definitely.
No, I would say about the completion percentage. It would be higher, but like he makes a smart play. He throws it away. He doesn't take sacks.
Yeah, that also affects it.
He doesn't. So he's a little bit different than Deshaun Watson. Watson would hold the ball a very long time and get sacked a lot. With CJ, if the play's not there, he throws it away and lives another down. So that's why his possession. I mean, 63 is still pretty good, but like it. Honestly, it should be higher, but again, he makes a smart play. Throws it away if his play's not there.
Definitely. With
the way the offense is set up this year, he should have a lot more options.
Right.
I mean, Vegas has him at second best odds winning the MVP behind Mahomes.
I saw that, man. I saw
that.
Vegas is pretty accurate most of the time.
When it comes to that.
Pull the script. Pull out the script. Yeah. We've seen it.
So then you guys talked about the sacks, and also a guy to watch out is definitely Buckner as well. He had 8 sacks last season going in for the Colts, so that's just a guy to watch out for on defense. Pay and Latu will be facing off against Laramie Tunsil and Howard, so that's going to be a good matchup to see. But obviously the Texans have Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter as well. The Texans are going to be missing Harris. He's going to be out for a bit. He was sent to the IR, so obviously it's time for Henry To'oTo'o to stand up to the plate. And then you got Aziz Al-Shire, according to John McClain on the last episode. And then I said Henry To'oTo'o, Al-Shire, and I'm blanking out on who the other linebacker would be.
Hamilton, I think.
Hamilton, yeah, that sounds familiar. Hamilton, but another aspect of it I wanted to show you. It's another recording that I had with Aziz Al-Shire, and I'd asked him about Shire. Sorry, about how comfortable he felt with this linebacking core. And give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Hold on. Let me pull it up real quick, and then. All right, there it is. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me share it, and y'all let me know what y'all think afterwards, okay? Okay, Papi, be ready for the screen again.
I'm ready. I'm just going to put it back the way it was. Go for it.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
Feel with this? Do you feel how comfortable do you feel with this linebacking core now in DeMeco Ryans' defense?
I feel real comfortable. It's a scheme that I was a part of in San Francisco for 4 years. So come over here, kind of just refreshing my brain on everything and still trying to fine tune things and keep growing with the guys. I think it's been pretty good so far.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, here's what I got to say about that. We need to get you a mic that cuts down on the echo.
So they what? Yeah, we able to hear echo or what?
Yeah, he heard the echo.
On the interview or like
on the interview.
Not now.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, they had the music playing loud, and then eventually they cut it off when they realized, oh, it's doing that. So sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you don't. But
So I was very excited about getting Al-Shaair because again, he's from the 49ers defense, same system,
familiar with
it, and he was perfect scheme fit. And so I've been playing Madden a lot the last couple of days, and
you got the new one.
Yeah, he's gonna feast in his defense.
So too. Yeah, he'll show up, right? Yeah, like he's definitely going to show up. Just again, the familiarity of it, because I don't think he was doing that last season with the Titans, because a very different scheme. I think
it's a different system. He wasn't the best fit for their the defense that they ran last year, but I think here it's plug and play.
Right,
he's going to look like he did with the 49ers.
Yeah, Papi, what's your take on that one?
No, I completely agree. I feel like he's one of those guys that I'm glad, we went ahead and got, working with DeMeco. Like he's already familiar with it. I feel like as much as we talk about this Texans team, as much as we praise the offense, I feel like the defense, the closer we get to actual regular season, the more confident I'm starting to feel, because all of these guys working with the DeMeco system. We know he's a defensive minded coach. We know the type of system they're running. I feel like he's a great fit. Again, the secondary overall is still my biggest question mark. We talk about the depth, and we talk about Petrie, we talk about Singletary, we talk about the health. But I feel like against the Colts, we're going to get a good. We're not going to get to see a lot of the secondary, like as far as no,
they won't be tested a whole lot.
Yeah, they're not going to be tested all that much. So I feel like game 2, like week 2 against
Chicago,
the Bears, I feel like that's going to be like where the season really starts.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying earlier, like if you want to start the season right, you need to make a statement with the Colts and then move on immediately, because I feel like that games against the Bears is going to be where the real test begin.
Yeah, I think week 1. I think the real question is going to be who's going to be the spy on Anthony Richardson, because that kind of what helped the Texans, last in the playoffs against Lamar. They had a spy.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Does this week 1 game against the Colts, does it feel a bit like a trap game?
I'm not feeling it on this one.
No, not this one.
You did
not this one. I think the Chicago one kind of feels like one.
Really?
No,
I feel like the Chicago is going to be like an all-out shootout.
It will be. I think a lot of people underestimate a little bit. I've seen it in drafts, which is weird to me. A lot of people underestimate a lot of what Caleb Williams can do, and I mean that team is surrounded with talent right now.
And the little bit that we saw in preseason from him, I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, he looks. He looks like he fits the bill. Like he looks like the real.
He looks like the real deal. Yeah, which is it's kind of scary to say that another rookie quarterback.
I don't see that being a trap game, especially being in prime time. Like we've seen CJ Stroud in prime time. Like he's one of those dudes that just steps up when the lights are the brightest.
That is true.
Oh yeah, that I agree. CJ stepping up in when the time is right, definitely. Really quick, how you mentioned the defense, Papi, a little bit. So. DeMeco did ask DeMeco, like, what's the key for this defense to be better this year? He said the key is consistency. It's always important. First game is going to be all about tackling. You have to tackle as a team, right? So you got to talk to your so you talk about our defense last year, too many missed tackles. So for us to improve the run game and also the passing game, we have to be better tackling team. And it takes just more hands on the ball, more guys securing and wrapping up. I agree with that. Remember last season there was a lot of missed tackles going on, Rios?
Oh yeah, especially against the Colts, week 18. like
I hope
Jonathan
they've worked on
Taylor
that.
just
Yeah.
having the game of his life because
Yeah.
they miss tackles, bad angles, and
Mhm.
you can't do that against the Colts. Not with the threats of AR and Jonathan Taylor. Like you can't take a bad angle. You can't miss a tackle because they'll make you pay for it.
They will make you pay for it. Jonathan Taylor is one of those guys where, like in all the fantasy mock drafts or whatever, I feel like people are sleeping on him.
Yeah. All right. Before I agree with you, yeah, definitely. So really quick, because we gotta end it shortly. There's one. They asked him about Kamari Lassiter. So he said, "What stood out to me the most about Kamari Lassiter is his consistency every day. He showed up every day, whether it was that rookie minicamp, OTAs, no matter who lined up across from him. I just love that he never wavered. Whoever lined up across from him, he accepted whatever challenge was thrown his way. A very smart player. He finishes the right way, and that's what it's all about. Initially, everybody is about the same talent-wise, but you have to make up your mind. How are you going to finish each play? He finishes with the right mindset, which has allowed him to continue to grow as a rookie and be consistent because of his mindset of how he finishes things. I think Rios, we saw that a lot during the time you and I went to training camp, right? How he stood out.
He's a dog. DAWG. Woof, woof, woof.
Look it.
Dog, man. Like he really impressed me in training camp. Like I was a little on the fence. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little on the fence about drafting him, but he's so far has proved me wrong, and I'm glad he proved me wrong.
Yeah, and it's going to go back again to that week 2 game when we know Caleb is going to be throwing the ball. I want to see what Lassiter is all about.
Yeah, same. All right, do y'all want to make the predictions real quick of what the score will be like this week 1 against the Colts? Papi, you want to go first?
24-14 Texans.
Texans, okay. 24-14, okay. Rios, what you think?
35-18 Texans.
Okay. I'm going to go with 27-17 Texans. I think overall everybody's kind of picking the Texans.
So at least like a 2 possession type of game.
Yeah, just about. I think 2 possession type of game for the Texans seems about right. Like we said, I think as long as CJ Stroud takes care of that secondary, that's not as a strong suit for the Colts. I think it can be possible there. But all right, guys. Well, we're
the ball, tackle.
ball security.
Take good angles as far as tackling goes, and should be an easy W.
Does Diggs get a touchdown in his debut?
Yes.
I think so too. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that's going to be it for us this week. Don't forget to check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at BBlitzPod. Follow us on BBlitzPod on Instagram, which we have been putting up different college playmakers, Latino players, standouts in the college level. Keep checking it out so you guys can see some amazing highlights. Today we had Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt making a few plays against Virginia Tech. Great stuff going on in our Esquina. So please, again, subscribe to our YouTube channel at BBlitzPod, just like you see it right there scrolling down. Follow us on our IG account at BBlitzPod, and of course, our X account again is also the same at BBlitzPod. And again, all of this is part of the our Esquina network. Follow us on the X account at our Esquina. Just like it shows there. And of course, the Instagram account for our Esquina at our Esquina, and uplifting Latino voices, athletes throughout the college football, NFL, MLB, you name it. And of course, speaking of MLB,
volleyball, golf,
yeah, all around. Yeah, you got to follow these guys up here. The full seam ahead guys. Follow them up. They give you some great Astros insight content. You name it, some great interviews. That's their IG. That's their X account. You name it. These guys are on a roll. They're credentialized as well, so they get to talk to the players on the field as well. So follow the guys at Full Steam Ahead. Amazing content that they have going on. A lot of great stuff going at our Esquina. That's going to be it for us this week, and
it's almost that time of year.
Yeah, the Astros Invitational.
I should
trademark.
All right, guys, that's going to be it. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Ya tú sabes.